Hello, I'm Prentice Starkey. I'm a professor of early childhood education at the University of California, Berkeley. And for the past 20 years, I and other researchers have been studying the early development of mathematical thinking. And what we found is that mathematical thinking begins to develop far earlier than people used to believe. In fact, the very earliest forms of mathematical thinking begin back during the infant and toddler years. So the implication of that is that during the preschool years, there's a great deal of development that could take place if we provide children with adequate support. What research has found is that children have elementary mathematical concepts developing from about age 2. Children start counting. Children can engage in arithmetic problem solving during the preschool years. Children represent space. They engage in geometric reasoning. They have pattern knowledge. They start measuring things like length and weight. And all this is developing well before children start elementary school. However, preschools and the curricula that were developed years ago don't support many of these areas of mathematical thinking that we know are developing during the preschool years. So there's a great need now for an enhancement in preschools of activities that are of a mathematical nature to help children develop their mathematical thinking. Research that's looked at children's home learning environments has shown that there's a real unevenness. Some children get more support than others. And as a consequence, when children now start elementary school, they don't start on an even playing field. Some children have far more highly developed mathematical knowledge than others. So that means they're behind from the very beginning. And as we track mathematics achievement during the elementary school years, the kids who start out behind often fall further and further back as they go through elementary school. So one way to try to give children a good start in school is to enhance what they learn in the preschool years. And that way kids will start out more on an even playing field, ready to learn what the elementary schools are prepared to teach them in mathematics. A collaborator, Alice Klein, and I created a mathematics curriculum that's research-based, has been field tested. We know it's effective. And that curriculum is called Pre-K Mathematics. It's a Pearson Early Learning curriculum. A subset of the activities in that curriculum are included in the OWL curriculum. And we selected what we think are the most important of the activities and have put them in OWL. And today we'll be demonstrating 2 of those activities. One is an arithmetic activity, and you'll get a chance to see children engaged in arithmetic problem solving, not using paper and pencils and written numerical symbols, but instead using concrete objects where you have objects being added and subtracted. So you get to see what math looks like in young children. And the other activity is a tangram activity, and it involves mental imagery, where children have to imagine shapes and transform them, and spatial composition, where children have to use the tangram pieces to compose a larger shape. So we'll be showing you those with real children and real teachers. So Karen, I understand that you're going to be doing a spatial activity today. Would you tell us what you're going to do and a little bit about it?
Today we're going to introduce an activity to the children called Let's Make Tangrams, and we're going to be using tangram picture cards and tangram pieces. We have a triangle, a square, parallelogram. And actually we have three different sizes, three different triangles on the tray, two of different size. The children will be using those shapes to match the spaces on the tangram cards initially, and then later, as the activity goes on, they will turn the cards over and be able to use the tangram shapes to make the pictures without internal lines.
Yeah. What determines which card you start with?
We start with the easier card first. The first card we have is a caterpillar, and it's basic. It's pretty simple, straightforward. You see your triangle, your parallelogram, and then there's the square, and then a little bit more difficult, there's a square with two triangle pieces that you have to put together, but you see there's an internal line where they can identify the shape. Then the next card we would use will be a ship tangram picture card, and it's a little bit more difficult in the orientation of the shapes. They're not in a straight line, they're actually some at the top and then at the bottom. Some of the shapes now may have to be turned, rotated, or flipped over, as we would say. And again, it's a little bit more difficult. Then after that card, we have what they call the fish. And again, another degree of difficulty. But you'll see that the children are still able, with a little scaffolding, able to complete the task. If they're successful in doing all three cards, we'll turn them over and let them try the objects, the picture objects without the internal lines.
And if a child has difficulty, do you help the child?
Yes, we do. Of course, we want the children to be successful. So what we would do is help explain to them the shape. Oftentimes, especially the parallelogram, might need to be flipped over or even rotated in order to fit into the area. For example, here on this tangram here, if they put it this way, it doesn't fit. Or if you turn it this way, it fits. Okay. And so that's some of the things that we'll be doing to scaffold to make sure the children are successful in completing the task.
Now what if one of the children does really well and really doesn't even find this very challenging?
Well, there's one additional card that we'll use to do an upward extension where they would use the rectangle without any internal lines at all to see if they can put the shapes in the correct order to make the rectangular shape.
And do you keep records on how
Yes, we do.
individual children do?
Yes, we do. While we're doing the activity, I have a clipboard where I document whether or not the children need scaffolding, where I need to show them how to rotate the shape or position the shape and or even flip it. I also document whether or not they are successful in completing card 1, 2, or 3. All right. Today, boys and girls, we are going to play a game. And we're going to use these tangram cards, okay, to fill in these pictures with these tangram shapes. What shape do I have here?
Triangle.
A triangle. Look at my triangle.
I beat the triangle.
How many sides? Wait. How many sides does my triangle have? One, two, three. Good job. I'm going to give each of you your own set of tangram shapes.
I want my blue one.
You want blue ones?
I want my red one.
Want red ones? Okay.
Yellow one.
So we have
I
red.
want yellow.
Well, I heard Vivian say yellow first, so can we give Vivian her yellow ones first? And we have green. How about that? Okay. And blue. All right? There we go. Now, let's look at this shape here. What shape do I have?
Square.
A square. Can you find the square on your tray? Good. How many sides does the square have? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll wait for you. Go ahead.
1, 2,
2,
3,
3, 4. Good. And what are these things called? What's this part right here called?
Corners.
Corners. Good job. How many corners do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can do yours, Jaime.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good. Now look at this shape. Does anyone have a shape like this? A parallelogram. Good job. A parallelogram.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4. What did you count? The corners or the sides?
Corners.
The corners. Good. How many sides does it have?
1, 2, 3,
4.
4.
Okay, good job. Now I have a question. Let's look at this parallelogram. Now this is a straight line. Can you make your arm go like this? There's a straight line. And then if you do like this, it's leaning, right? It's leaning. Are there any sides leaning on this parallelogram?
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Which
said
sides are
no.
leaning? Which sides are leaning?
You.
These two right here. Good job. I think we're ready to get started. You guys ready to get started?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I'm going to give everybody one of these cards. This is our caterpillar card. Here's your caterpillar card. And I want you to use your tangram pieces, your shapes, to fill out the pictures on the picture card. Okay? You want to try the caterpillar without the lines? Okay, here we go. Thank you. Okay, let's look at that, Vivian. Good. Does it fit in there? There we go. See? Now see if you can finish it. I'm looking. You're doing an excellent job.
Let me get out.
Okay, let's finish it though. Put that one back in. Let's see if you can finish the card for me.
Yeah. I can't do it.
I bet you can if you take your time.
I'm doing it.
Yes, you are.
He can't do that.
Good. Good, Vivian. Thank you. Which one would you like to try without the lines? You want to try the caterpillar or the ship? The caterpillar without the lines? Good job, Jakari. Would you like to try another one? Maybe the ship? Yes? Without the lines? Okay.
I'm beachy.
Here we go. Thank you. How are we doing, Jaime? Let's look at this one right here. What should we do with that one?
Look at it.
What should we do with that?
What? Just your finish.
Good job, Vivian. You did a good job. Would you like to try the fish or the ship?
I want to
The
try
ship?
the ship.
You want to try the ship?
No, DJ, I can't do it.
Oh, I bet you can. Let me see if I can help you a little bit, okay? We have this one, and try it, and this one. Well, let's look at this parallelogram. What should we do with that? Should we flip it or should we turn it? What should we do with that to make it fit better?
Flip.
Good job. Now let's see if you can, let's put it back like you had it. Oh, sorry. Okay, now let's see if you can finish it.
Did it.
Try flipping or turning and see if that helps.
DJ, me.
You need help too? The ship is giving us a hard time today, huh? Okay. Now look at this one carefully.
The ship.
Hmm?
I thought Jaime can do this.
You thought Jaime could do the ship? Well, some days we work better than other days. I bet he can still do it today too. Just takes a little bit longer. Just gonna take a little bit longer today. Okay. Let's look at this one right here. Can we flip it and see if that'll help? Yeah. See? Now what you gonna do to finish it? Mm-hmm.
Done swimming.
Almost. Let's look at this one right here. What should we do to that shape?
Swimming.
Hmm?
I need help.
You need help? Okay, let's start over. We have the square and put your triangle there. The trick is to get this shape. What is this shape called again?
Parallelogram.
Parallelogram. The trick is to get that one to go just right and then the rest of them to fit in there. So let's see if we can make it fit. We want to make sure the lines touch. How about if we do like that and we flipped it? Okay, put those back in place. Okay, we have to flip it. There, now let's see if you can finish it.
Swimming, I can't do it.
You can't do it. This ship is giving us the blues today, huh? Let's see. How about we try there? Now, where's your parallelogram? Okay, good. Put the last triangle there. Finally.
I can't do it.
You did it, huh? Good job. Okay, and let's start with the shape. What is the shape called? A parallelogram. But we want to make sure that it fits inside the lines. How about that? See, you didn't need my help. Look at it closely. Which way is that triangle going to go? No, this one's fine. We have this one fine. Now, which way is the other one going to go? Got it very carefully. Do you need to flip it maybe? Or turn it? Right. So that it fits in there. Let's hold these in place. I'll hold those in place for you. Okay, now let's look. Let's back up for a second. And let's look at that triangle shape real carefully and then look. Oh, see? Slide it in there. Slide it all the way in. You have it.
I'm done.
All right. Good job, Jakari. You did it. You did it. Okay, Mr. Jaime, let's see here. Let's look at this shape right there. Now let's look at this. What shape does that look like on here? A triangle, just like that triangle there. Now how can we make it fit? How can we make it go in there? There you go.
Karen, how did you feel that went?
I think it went well. I think it went very well. The children were able to complete the task that I set out for them to achieve. They were able to identify the shapes and complete the tangram pictures. I think it went well.
And I noticed there were times that children either asked for help or you looked and saw that they needed some help, but you didn't just do it for them. How do you make decisions?
As a teacher, that's a no-no. You want the children to be able to think for themselves and see that they can try to problem solve themselves by trying to do it, and then just give them the added tools with just some suggestions on how they might flip it or turn it, or to visualize the piece that may be missing. We want them to be able to figure it out themselves, so they need those problem-solving skills, which of course will help them later on as they pursue, their academic careers. Not careers, but their academics throughout elementary school and math or whatnot.
And I know you've done this activity with other groups of children. And are there certain kinds of difficulties that you see, are there certain kind of errors that you can predict that children will make?
Yes, usually the ship is and of course it is a level 3 in the cards. That was actually, the ship was the second of the 3 series of cards that we used. And today, for some reason, the ship gave the children more difficulty than normal. Usually it's the 3rd card, the fish, that children have a little bit more difficulty with. So I was a little surprised today, especially at the fact that all of them had the same problem. And again, mainly is trying to position the pieces in the correct way, knowing when to turn or when to flip it or whatnot. And again, I tried to let them figure it out on their own, but help them as needed, kind of guide them through the steps.
Well, one thing that's a little bit different about tangrams from puzzles is you have to flip them. With a puzzle, once you've
It's
got
just
all the
standard,
colored
it just
pieces-
goes one way. That's
And
it,
do you see that
basically.
children, maybe there's a little bit of interference from the puzzles?
I do think so. And even when I work with the children in the class and they're doing puzzles, the simpler puzzles, we always talk about the corners and how you look for the corners and put the corners in that space. But usually on that puzzle piece, there's only one corner, so it only goes in, usually one set direction. And again, yes, it's much different from the tangram shapes where you have to flip or turn or rotate them. And of course, if you don't get them aligned quite right, they're not going to fit.
Now, how many times do you do an activity with children? Do you just do it one time and that's it, or would these children do the
Usually we would like to
activity
try to
again?
do it at least twice. We do one introductory where, for example, today, but leading up to the activity, of course, we have discussions in circle time where we have the children identify the shapes. We go over the sides, the corners, whether something is leaning, things like that, to just kind of orientate them with the shape so that they know some basic skills going into the activity. And of course, today was the first time, but then we would try again the second time. And of course, you would see in doing it in the past that they are much more comfortable coming in. They know how to do it. And they know if it doesn't work, it doesn't need me. They don't need me to come in and scaffold to tell them to flip it or to turn it.
So you can see growth from the first
Yes,
time to
definitely.
the second.
Yes, definitely.
And after you've done the activity twice with children, is this something that you could just put out in the classroom?
Put it in the classroom on the shelf. Yes, definitely. It's easy enough to take the tray and the tangram cards and the figures. I don't necessarily leave them on the tray like that, but maybe put them in their own container, a little small container, so that when they pick up the tray, they don't just go flying around or something. But yes, definitely, I have done that and put it on the shelf for the children, and they go to it freely.
Okay. And Karen, I know occasionally teachers run into a child who really has a lot of trouble, even with the first card. And if you have a child like that, how do you sort of back up and give them something easier to start with?
Well, actually, if we looked at the first card, the caterpillar, it's pretty simple as I stated during the activity. It's pretty straightforward. The shapes go in, and you don't have to really connect the shapes, so they're somewhat in alignment. The only one that needs to be connected is the triangle, and you put them together and then make the square, and that's up there at the top. If there was a child who had difficulty doing this first card, I would explain that to them, pull it aside and show them, and maybe make it up at the top and show them how the shape can just slide right into position.
And then you would let the child try
And then I would
again.
let them try it themselves. Okay. And of course, if the cards are too difficult, because we don't want the children to get frustrated. If you remember, I asked a couple of children if they wanted to go on, because we want this to be something that they want to do. We want it to be fun.
Karen, I noticed during the activity you were taking some notes, and then you took some time at the end to write some things
Yes,
down.
to reflect on what took place. Oftentimes, I took notes while the children were doing the activities and some of the quiet times to kind of let them explore on their own. And some of the things that I was writing down is whether or not they were able to recognize the shapes, if they identified the sides, the squares, or were aware of the spatial orientation and how the shape should fit onto the TAMGEP cards. And I noted that on the observation notes that are included with the booklet. And some of the things that asked is whether or not the children are able to recognize the shapes, whether they use the tangram cards to whether they use the tangram shapes to complete the cards, and then also if they understand the spatial terms above, left, below, things like that. And I noted that on the paper. At the end of the activity, I went back and I documented whether or not the child needed to be assisted with scaffolding. Whether they needed to be reminded to turn the shape or to flip the shape and things of that nature. And by the same token, I noted for the next time that all of them had the same difficulty with the ship. And so I might need to go back and look at explaining that to them a little bit more in detail or showing them more examples of that leading into the activity. And I also noted those who finished real quickly. The first caterpillar, everybody finished really, really, really quickly. And so I know that they have a basic understanding of the shapes and how they fit into the tangram picture cards.
Now, before you do the activity a second time, will you look at your notes?
Yes, definitely look at the notes to see if they've done this one first already. I may not start with the card with the internal lines. I know that they met that very successfully quickly, so I would automatically start with the card without the internal lines for them to do that activity the second time.
So, Eltor, what math activity are you going to be doing with your children today?
I'm going to do the how many dinosaurs.
And what are the objectives of that activity?
For the children to count adding, subtraction.
How is the activity presented, and how are they going to be doing addition and subtraction with the children?
I'm going to have 4 mats out with the dinosaurs, and I'm going to give them directions of how many dinosaurs to add to the forest or the lake, and they have to follow directions, or how many to take away.
Mm-hmm. And now this activity builds on some of the skills that they've developed in Unit 1. For example, in this activity, they're asked to check by counting. So the children have an opportunity to use their counting skills to check whether they have the correct number altogether, or they have the correct difference when they are in a subtraction problem or an addition problem. So it's very important for children to have good counting skills at this point, so that they can then use them in the service of solving addition and subtraction problems.
Yes.
Now, there are other activities that they've done that are also build on those skills in the How Many Dinosaurs game, How Many Dinosaurs activity. And in that, they have to be able to use the ability to construct a set. How does that work? How does that get incorporated into the How Many Dinosaurs?
With that particular activity, you have to ask the children to make a set of 6 objects, and they would have to be able to count out 6 objects from the bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ask them again, how many sets do you have? How many objects in your set? And they have to be able to tell you 6.
So the How Many Dinosaurs, which is an arithmetic activity, actually builds on 2 types of counting skills. One is to be able to count a set of objects that they've been given, and they will use that as a checking strategy in the How Many Dinosaurs to see if they've gotten the right sum or the correct difference. But it also utilizes the ability to construct a set, so to count out a correct number, because they have to, in the How Many Dinosaurs activity, they have to listen for numerical information in a story problem,
Right.
either an addition story or a subtraction story. They have to listen for the numerical information, and they have to put out the correct set or move, add or subtract the correct set
That's right.
on each problem. So it involves more than simply just knowing how to count, but also knowing how to count to construct a set or to take a set away.
That's right.
Now, how do you think this activity relates to what children will be doing in kindergarten and first grade?
It relates because when they go to kindergarten, they're going to have to be able to count objects as well, be able to count and know how many. Not just the number, but that number represents an object.
And how about in addition and subtraction problems? I mean, these have words. What's unique about the How Many Dinosaurs and another activity that we're not demonstrating today, which is the fish game, where they have to listen to word problems and then act them out with manipulatives. And this is something I know that they do in kindergarten, right?
Yes, and be able to follow directions.
Right, that's very important, to listen for numerical information and to follow directions. It's part of what they'll be doing when they start getting word problems in kindergarten and first grade. And I think this activity is particularly foundational because this is the first time they're getting word problems in the curriculum, and they get to listen for arithmetic word problems and then act them out. Now, in this activity, you tell them what to do,
Yes,
right?
I do.
How do you do that?
I begin by telling them a story, and they have their dinosaurs, and they have their mat, and I will tell them to take 4 dinosaurs from their bowl and put the dinosaurs in the forest.
So you actually explain to them, they listen to the story saying, for example, 4 dinosaurs walk into the forest,
Right.
and then you tell them, take 4 dinosaurs out of your bowl and put them in the forest. And that scaffolds them in terms of interpreting the numerical information that they're hearing in the word problem. So you're actually teaching them how to interpret word problems using manipulatives.
Right, and they have to be able to take out 4 dinosaurs. And then if they don't take out 4 and they take out more or less, then I need to ask them to count how many dinosaurs are on the mat, and they will count. And if they make a mistake, we count again.
And then they'll redo it
Yes.
until they put out the correct amount
Yes.
to start the problem, and also to do the addition and subtraction.
Right, and then they have to be able to
operations.
add more dinosaurs and be able to count all together.
4
dinosaurs walked into the forest. Take 4 dinosaurs out of your bowl and put them into the forest. You may start. 4 dinosaurs walked into the forest. Very good. And you know, Miss Collins, when you're ready, when you have your hands in your lap. Okay. Very good. Now, 2 more dinosaurs come into the forest to join their friends. Now, take 2 more dinosaurs out of your bowl and put them into the forest. You may start. 2 more dinosaurs walked into the forest to join their friends. Very good. How many dinosaurs are in the forest all together?
5, 6.
Count, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many dinosaurs are in the forest all together?
6.
Very good. Angie, how many dinosaurs are in the forest all together?
6.
Will you count, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So how many dinosaurs in the forest all together?
6.
Very good. Roland, how many dinosaurs in the forest all together? Will you count, please? So how many dinosaurs in the forest all together?
6.
Oh, very good, very good. Now all your dinosaurs leave the forest to go back home. Take all of the dinosaurs from your mat and put them into the bowl. You can do that now. Take all your dinosaurs from your mat and put them into the bowl. Very good. Wow, everybody's doing such a good job. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, still have your listening ears on. Still use your eyes. 5 dinosaurs walked into the forest. Take 5 dinosaurs out of your bowl and put them into the forest. Start. 5 dinosaurs walked into the forest. Very good. Okay. 5 dinosaurs walked into the forest. 5 dinosaurs walked into the forest. And I know you're ready when you have your hands in your lap. Very good, very good. Still listen. 1 dinosaur gets thirsty and leaves the forest and walks into the lake. Take 1 dinosaur out of your forest and put it into the lake. You may start. 1 dinosaur. And I know you're ready when your hands are in your lap. Very good. How many dinosaurs are left?
4.
Emily, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
4.
Will you count, please?
1, 2, 3, 4.
So how many dinosaurs are left in the forest? Very good. Roland, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
4.
Will you count, please?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very good. So how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
4.
Very good, very good. Now, all your dinosaurs leave the forest and the lake to go home. Take all of your dinosaurs from your mat and put them in the bowl. You may do that now. Put them in the bowl. Very good. Everyone's doing a really, really good job. 10 dinosaurs walked into the forest. Take 10 dinosaurs out of your bowl and put them into the forest. You may start. 10 dinosaurs walked into the forest. Very good. 10 dinosaurs walked into the forest.
5, 6,
Good. 10 dinosaurs walked into the forest.
5, 6, 9,
10 dinosaurs walked into the forest.
7, 8, 9,
Very good, very good. Very good. Keep your listening ears on. One dinosaur gets thirsty and leaves the forest and walks into the lake to get a drink. Take one dinosaur out of your forest and put it into the lake. You ready?
Yes.
Start. One dinosaur gets thirsty and walk into the lake. Very good, very good, very good. Okay. How many dinosaurs are left in the forest? 6. How many dinosaurs are left in the forest? 9. Angie, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
9.
Will you count, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
9.
Very good. Elise, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
9.
Will you count, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
9.
9. Very good. Roland, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
9.
Will you count, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So how many dinosaurs are left in the forest?
9.
Oh, very good.
Well, that was terrific, watching your children play the How Many Dinosaurs activity.
Thank you.
How do you think it went, Altor? What was your impression of how your children did and how the activity went?
I thought the activity went very well. The children did a wonderful job following directions and listening. They did very good. It went good.
How do you feel that the skills that they learned previously helped them do this activity?
The previous skills that they learned before was counting and with objects, and so to help them do this particular activity, they needed to count with the dinosaurs and think about the number, and that helped a lot. That helped a lot.
One thing I noticed in doing this activity was that the children actually tried to solve some of these arithmetic problems mentally. And it was very impressive. I mean, first you have them follow directions, they count out a certain number of dinosaurs, and then either some dinosaurs get added or taken away from the original set, and you ask them how many are left. Now, some children, when they do that, immediately count the number that are left, and that's perfectly fine. That's what they would be expected to do in this activity at this age, that they would use counting as a strategy to solve addition and subtraction problems. But what your children started doing is trying to solve the problem mentally. That is when you say, well, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest? Children would already, having put out 5 and added 1 more, say 6.
Right.
And they were doing it before they ever counted. So that's actually a step towards mental arithmetic, which is the more developmentally advanced approach to solving addition and subtraction problems. How do you think they did on their mental arithmetic?
Some of the children did really, really well because some children are more developed than others. And those children who didn't do too well mentally, they counted. And they had the correct number of dinosaurs.
Right, so they had the correct
Yeah.
number of dinosaurs, and so then you went back when they gave, like I noticed, I think it was Elise.
Elise,
Right,
yes.
I noticed that Elise had the correct number of dinosaurs. It was in the problem where there were 10 dinosaurs
Right.
and 1 went into the lake to get a drink. And you asked how many were left. And what did Elise do? Maybe you could
And
describe
Elise,
it.
she didn't count. She just said 5.
And how did you handle that situation?
And then I asked her how many dinosaurs are left in the forest. So she had to count. I said, will you count and tell me how many dinosaurs? And she counted. And I asked her, how many dinosaurs are left in the forest? And then she gave the correct number, 9.
Right. So then what will happen, I guess, if children do this frequently, every time they get a correction, it helps them represent the problem accurately. So the first time, you know, she said 10 and 1 was taken away, she said 5. But the next time, so then you had to go back and count
Right.
and use counting as a scaffolding strategy.
Right.
And then the next time she does it, she'll represent the problem as 10, and you take one away, and there's 9 left.
Right.
And that's actually the developmental sequence for children learning to solve addition, subtraction problems mentally. First, they do it by counting directly, and then they do it by representing the outcome mentally. So it's really, really nice to see them moving from direct counting, which some children would do, to doing it mentally. Now, how many times have you done this activity with the children?
One time.
And did they count directly the first time?
The first time we did the activity, they count the dinosaurs. And they got the correct answer. It still was the correct answer.
Right.
And one child just looked and knew that there was so many dinosaurs that was already there. But the other children used their fingers and it counted.
Yeah. So this time, when you did it the second time, then a lot of children were already moving to trying to represent the problem mentally.
Mentally, yes.
Yeah. Well, that shows development even from the first to the second time.
Right.
That's terrific. That's terrific. I noticed that when a child made an error, even it was a minimal error of you trying to do mental arithmetic with a large set, I noticed when you made an error that you didn't interrupt her at all. What's your strategy for dealing with errors, and how do you handle that in doing small group math activities?
I think it's important that you give children enough space to mentally solve a problem instead of just jumping right in and telling them. And when you give them enough space to think, they self-correct themselves.
But what if a child doesn't self-correct?
Then
how do
I don't
you
wait too
handle
long.
it in general?
I wait a couple of seconds just to observe, and then I do scaffolding if I need to assist them. And then if they still having problems, then I need to do a downward extension, means that I need to do a smaller set.
Now, you didn't have to do it for these children with these particular problems, but there are other activities where you've had to use scaffolding or a downward extension, right, to make it easier.
Yes, and when I did have to do a downward extension, the other children would wait patiently, and I would do that downward extension with that child and not move on.
I noticed that you had very good small group management. I mean, the children were very focused. They were listening attentively to you. How do you set up those kinds of conditions that will then allow them to learn at the small group math table?
I think it's very important that before you even do the small group activities, that you talk with the children before they come to the small group and let them know, this is what we're going to do, this is what I expect from you. And give them cues like, listen with your ears, put your hands in your lap, that lets me know that you're ready. And then when they come to the table, the small group, they already know what to do.
Yeah, it's very important, I think, for a teacher to have those kinds of management skills in working in small group, because otherwise you can't get the children to focus, and if they're not focused on what you're teaching, they're not going to get as much out of the activity.
And it's good to be organized and know ahead of time what you need to do, and good class management is real good.
For example, what do you mean by being organized? What would be an example?
Is to have the activities already set out on the table for the children, and some activities you might need to put a lid on it, so when they come to the table, they don't play with it.
So you anticipate
yeah, you have to
what
go
are
a step further.
distractions.
Yes,